Welcome to Software Leaders Uncensored with Steve Taplin. Welcome to Software Leaders Uncensored, where tech leaders drop the filter and just tell it like it is. I'm your host, Steve Taplin, serial tech entrepreneur. I have 30 companies under my belt. I failed at 20 of those. 10 of those were big successes. I took that roller coaster of a ride into my new book, Fail Hard, Win Big. It's my story of how you can take failure and use it as a superpower versus something to let it drag you down. And one key thing I've always done in every company was build custom software to make sure internal operations are strong, the client experience is unique, and raise enterprise value. Now I'm the CEO of Sonatify Technology. We help customer and client engineering teams with our nearshore software development teams. And today I am joined by Steve Valero, VP of engineering of a company called GradGuard. Steve has been in the trenches as a software engineer, led engineering organizations across a wide array of companies, and also has his PhD. This is going to be a fun one. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate you having me on.
You bet. If you would, Steve, walk our listeners through the journey of your career and how the whole PhD thing became a part of that.
Oh man, the PhD thing is quite an interesting story. Just so you know, I started off as electrical engineering and went into computer science at ASU. So go Sparky fans out there.
And we're both in Arizona. We share that. We're both miserable right now. It's about 110 degrees outside.
We're both melting. We're both melting away. I think when I started, I wanted to get into gaming. I think that's when everybody was kind of interested in. And I was standing outside and my professor says, "Hey, do you want a job?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's get into that." So he took me into his shoulders. We went into a company, and one of my first jobs was working through higher ed with Cisco. And it was a great place. I was there for a while, and I really started to get into wanting to learn a little bit more about being a leader, vision and stuff like that. So I went through a startup company, and I got to tell you, that was a great experience.
It's the best education you can get.
And you talk about opportunity to do whatever you want, not whatever you want, but there's so many opportunities if the company's growing. So I think I was like one of like the 20th or 25th employee. Watch that grow to 800 employees. And so I did that for about 10 years. And what a journey. I learned so much about business. I learned so much about just kind of my career path. I learned so much what I wanted to do. I was doing my master's at that time in leadership development. So I was getting an opportunity to both lead my engineering group while I was still coding and understanding business. And then so people want to ask, how did I become my PhD? Well, I was in a typical rah-rah meeting and the CEO's like, 60 million with 60 customers in 60 days. And you look back at all my engineers and they're just arms crossed, don't look happy. And so my CEO kind of mentioned like, what does it take to make these people happy? And I'm like, well, I think you didn't talk to them about this first. And I think they're probably upset because you're trying to go to emotional play. And I think they have to do other work. And so I think they're kind of upset. Like, what is this really going to look like? I go, but I don't know. I want to go back to school and figure out, because I think there's something different about the temperament of engineers. I think
Their engineers are very unique. They're ultra smart. They're often, introverts. And so there's definitely a uniqueness to leading engineers, as you know, right?
Yep, exactly. And so because of that, I think I need to go back to school. So I decided to look at a PhD program, and then I found GCU. They kind of worked with the dissertation, because I'm not a writer. I don't want to write a big old document. Everybody was telling me like, hey, after 2 years, you'll figure it out. I'm like, no, I don't want to wait 2 years, take classes, then figure out I'm not going to do it. I need to know. So I went to GCU. I picked organizational psychology, not really knowing what that is. But really what I found out about it with my dissertation was on how to keep engineers, what motivates them. What I originally was getting into is I saw a lot of organizations in Silicon Valley. There were, food, all those wonderful benefits. And I'm like, does those really matter? Because when we grew as a company and we got into the big building, we had a snack bar, we had games, we had it all. But after a while, the engineers stopped using it. They're like, I don't want to be on campus. I want to go off campus and think a little. So I was like, is that really important to keep engineers? And so I started digging into personality, what's important. And so ended up researching what's important to keep software engineers. That's basically what my dissertation.
So we got to hear it. What's the answer? What's the golden truth here?
All right. So what I'll tell you is this: is that when I first did this, I found this thing by SHRM that studied like 72 what they call job factors.
All right.
Well, it would be like French benefits, gym membership, at 401k, 72 of those. And I was like, oh, this is awesome.
I'm waiting to hear one that engineers were going to care about.
Well, that's the thing. I was like, oh man. And so I asked them if I can use that. They said no. And I'm glad they said no, because I could imagine an engineer taking a test with 72 different types of factors that, like you said, that really cared about. I found this instrument that had 5: supervisor, pay, career opportunities, the people they work with, and the work itself.
Okay.
So those were the 5 factors that we looked at. So when I talk to most people, they're like, hey, I thought pay would be important. And I'm like, well, what was interesting when I did my survey is that we found out that pay is important to software engineers. They're actually surprised how much they all get paid, but it's not a motivating factor per se. I mean, it is, but it isn't, meaning if they're paid fairly, they're good with that.
All right.
What I found out is that the work itself and the people they work with were the most important thing to an engineer and keeping a job.
Gotcha. So let's expand on that further. So the work itself, it has to be cutting edge. It has to be interesting to them. Dive a little deeper there.
Yeah, and I think the work itself is going to be different per age group or experience or anything like that. So I didn't go into much research.
You mean old guys like me might get excited by different things than, millennials and
Absolutely, absolutely. No, what I mean by the work itself is it has to be stimulating. It has to be something that they want to do. It has to be a problem that they want to solve. I think it's real frustrating if being an engineer myself, hey, if you give me this project that I feel like, hey, it's a level 10 and I'm at level 2, right? If I can't be successful at it, that's not really good. So it's got to be not the same stuff all the time. It's got to be scratching those inches around technology or whatever I'm into at that point, And again,
Gotcha.
as a leader, I wish I can give that 100% to my people all the time. And so I try to clarify that. Like, look, I know this isn't something that you want to do right now. Once we get past this, we'll get you back onto something that you want to do. So the work itself really does matter.
So, one of the hottest issues right now in big tech is these crazy RTO, return to office mandates. And most of the big tech companies, most of big financial institutions, I mean, it's you're back in the office 5 days a week. We're not going to let you coffee badge. And if you don't like it, kiss my butt.
Yeah.
In fact, gosh, who was the latest CEO who's of AT&T? And he was just like, I don't care if you don't like it, go work somewhere else. This is how it's going to be. So as a engineering leader with a PhD in organizational psychology, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've had to deal with that at a couple organizations. I think it's like putting some of the toothpaste back into the tube, right? We've allowed them to have all this freedom. Like now you're mandated to come in. It's not something that goes over well. However, there are some people that really enjoy coming back into the office. They like the social aspect. Some don't have good home environments where they're distracted at home. Their kids want to play with them. Their wife's like, hey, why don't you do these duties while you're working, or can't separate the work life from the home life. And so they actually prefer to come into the office. But every time we've had those mandates, I've had people leave because it's like, look, you gave us this and you said it would never go away. Now you're asking to pull that back, and there's other opportunities. I think they'll take it.
It's just it's interesting as the pandemic is many years behind us now. It started off as a couple days a week and please and nice. And now it's basically F you, come in and be here 5 days a week. No excuses, no exceptions. And if you don't like it, get out. Pretty harsh change. I'm not sure I agree with that. Definitely from a culture perspective and a company perspective, I know as my company is fully remote, we have over 100 plus team members worldwide, and it is harder to create a culture in a remote environment. Leaders have to work 10 times harder to make that. It depends on what the business does, what you do, and definitely some interesting stances there. So you're currently the VP of Engineering at GradGuard. Tell us about GradGuard.
Yeah, GradGuard's a great company. What we do is provide renters insurance and tuition insurance for college students.
So I know what renter's insurance is, but what's tuition insurance?
Yeah, so in the case that maybe somebody gets sick in your family or you're not able to provide for that, there's a possibility that you can get that.
So the tuition insurance is insuring if your family can't pay for something happens within your family or your life where you can't pay, this insurance
Yeah.
could potentially cover that.
Yeah, I'm being a little bit vague because I don't want to, I
I
don't want to
get it.
spell. You're talking about law and insurance. I don't
No,
want to be on the
we're
specifics there, but basically, look, like, hey, things
just
happen, mental
the
health.
concept of it.
Yeah, mental health happens, death happens, COVID happens, and so, hey, you won't be able to finish your semester, and so school's very expensive nowadays, so to be able to say, "Hey, this happened, prove that," and be able to get your tuition, some of it back is great.
So, and certainly renter's insurance, a lot of people are familiar with. Is tuition insurance? Is this something new? Is this something GradGuard created? What's the history there?
I think we have a great opportunity here compared to other places, like, it's a good place to be.
Awesome. Now, being an engineering leader, it's been a volatile environment to say the least. Lots of VP of engineering, CTOs get blamed. AI has been changing everything in the world, but certainly in the engineering world. And I almost feel like a lot of software engineering world has almost been on hold the last 18 months to see how much will AI replace software engineers or will they not? And, it's been volatile for people in your position. How did you get your role at GradGuard?
Yeah, I mean, my role at GradGuard was just through networking and being here in the Valley. People know about me and some, companies that I've worked for. So there was just an association. So
So
networking.
you didn't just apply online and cross your fingers that somebody would respond.
No, no, no.
Gotcha. Now, from a tech perspective, tell us some things going on with GradGuard and what you guys are doing.
Yeah, from a tech perspective, I think it's one of the great things about us. We're growing, and so one of the things that I get to do is kind of help scale them. So we're adding processes, we're adding engineers, we're adding technologies, we're looking at ways to solve things more efficiently. So it's that one stage of going from the teenage stage into kind of adulthood of scalability. So as far as standard technology, we're doing some PHP, AWS in the background at this point.
What unique experience are you guys providing your users, the vendors that work with your portals?
Yeah, I think in the future, some of the unique things that we could be doing is kind of validating some of these policies and some other things that people are doing and use AI more. I won't go into more detail, but working with universities, they have requests and, hey, is this good? Is that not good? And there's different ways that we can probably use AI to validate that.
So, as a guy here in the Valley, as very highly educated in engineering, your PhD, a few weeks ago on the show, we had the CIO of UT, University of Texas, and we got into this conversation how frustrated he was that companies were asking them, you got to train computer science students how to use AI because they have to use it to keep up. And, there's a lot of political challenges to get through in the collegiate education world of, wait, no, that's plagiarism, that's copying. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I have a son that goes to NAU in the computer science. And so I've been telling him he has to understand AI and how to use it, but be careful because you can't use that in your classroom assignments and everything like that because, that's kind of like, I think people are becoming too reliant on it. So I definitely feel it needs to be a course in there. People need to understand how to use it to understand there's a lot of, I think, misinformation or fears that are unwarranted. But my thing is that I think my son is very efficient. So he's not just coming in because at our place, you may be using it for checking in code and checking for security, using prompts to create stuff. You don't want to already be behind when you graduate school and like, I don't know what a prompt is. I don't know how to use AI or anything like that to get my job or, to be competitive. So I want to say it's both, but I wish universities would work with students on figuring like, hey, on this project, I want you to use AI. I want you to look at these type of things and be familiar with.
AI is not going anywhere. And I know a lot of young, recent college grad who get into engineering, they're often on government projects or projects that don't allow them to use AI integrated into their tech stack, into their tools. And every one of them, I tell them, you have to be using that on nights and weekends, doing pet projects, side projects, because you're going to become obsolete quick.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a speed game at this point. I mean, I use it quite often, help me with some creative mindset or creative writing or whatever. But it's like a calculator or the computer, right? It's the next technology you're going to have to use to kind of expedite your work.
So tell us about your engineering team. How many engineers do you have? Are you guys remote, hybrid? How do you go about leading your engineering team?
Yeah, I have this team has about 9 or 10 of us. There's a data team and basically an application team. We are mostly remote. We have a couple in Phoenix just because we want to have a good energy and presence. And I work hybrid, so I come in twice a week to the office. But it's so great to come in the office. I mean, I like the mix of hybrid. So it's great to have them come in, but I also love working remote. I got a little injury, so I've been working remote these last few days, and I forget how much more productive, at least I am.
Were you coding too hard? What happened?
I think I'm just like, pulling my hair out and just kind of injured my shoulder. No, just being on meetings and leaning in all the time. I'm like, oh man, I probably hurt my shoulder. Just the joy of getting old out there.
I understand.
But for me, you'll hear me say this: clear is kind, unclear is unkind. So I like to work with transparency with my team to lead them, have as much availability as I want to show them like where we're going, where we want to be. Again, what's the work coming up with them, making sure that they like that work. Going back to our original talk, like, hey, this is what's coming up. Do you like this? Is this exciting to you? What would make it more exciting? Can you sprinkle in some new tech in there that would make that exciting? So I'm really in touch with my team and making sure that they are motivated.
So when you hire new engineers, what traits do you look for?
I've been doing software for a lot of time, and I used to go after tech, but I look for more coachability. If somebody can learn, I look like that somebody who wants to continuous learn. I look for somebody with a good positive attitude. Those are probably higher up for me than some of the tech stuff because I tell you what, over the 25 years I've been in software, I thought I was just going to be a Java programmer forever. And I've done every other type of language along the way. So as long as somebody is that willing to learn and coach and take feedback, and, I think it could be a good experience.
So from an engineering team at your company, what's the biggest outcome you're focused on the second half of the year?
Yeah, we have a big project, not allowed to talk about it, but we have a big project to provide more for our customers.
More features, more.
No,
Gotcha.
this one's a little bit more back end, some more moving towards a better foundation. We're able to make some tech debt replacement, and it's really cool because I think this has been one of the bigger projects where we're able to get all of our team working together. Other projects been more of that feature. This is like, team, we really got to be in sync. We got to be in step, and the team's been doing awesome.
How have you incorporated AI engineering tools into your processes?
Oh man, into my processes. Well, if you're looking for a hiring process, they help me write some of those job descriptions I don't want.
to help how are your engineers using it today? What have you guys set up to help your engineers? Because certainly you don't want people just using free version of tools and slinging code and different things and seeing what comes out.
Absolutely, yeah. I think there's a lot of people using that free version and all that IP, that protected stuff, just going out to everywhere. No, we really lock it down. We make sure that they use stuff that is protected, that we have business accounts, that data is not being used. So if that's Copilot or whatever, we're making sure that it's not publicly being used.
What do you like today? Every week it seems to change, whether it's, Cursor, Windsurf, GitHub Copilot. I mean, all it takes is the next version of something to come for people to say, no, I want to switch to that.
So there was one that I saw, and I don't know the name, but it's with Git, and it was their security aspect on their AI. And what I loved about it is usually what happens if you're using like some security tool that does like a scan at the end. Now I got to add that to my bug queue, get it fixed. And what they did was they were scanning it right then and giving me solutions for security updates. And I thought that was so slick to do that right on the pull request. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you just check that in. So that, I don't remember the name of it. I just saw a preview of it a couple months ago. That's something I'm really interested in doing because, man, one company, we were really, really backed up on those low to medium security issues that we wanted to fix. But it would have been great just to kind of clear them up as we're checking in code every day.
Gotcha. So ChatGPT 5 just came out. You have any thoughts, any opinions?
I haven't really used it too much. I need to not too much opinion. So I need to get into that one.
I actually, into our corporate ChatGPT account that's private, I'm like, why do I care that you're version 5?
Yeah.
It's all the hype, and it just came back because it's better.
Yeah.
It gave some reasons, but I was just curious your take. So, from an engineering perspective, everybody, AI has been good for software engineering. It's helping people be more productive. It's helping with more routine coding thing. One of the good things I like is, it's actually proven out that software engineers are not going obsolete and that AI needs software engineers. And, there's been some bold claims. Zuckerberg earlier this year said within 5 years, 60% of his engineering team will be gone due to AI. And I called bullshit then. And I just kind of laugh now that AI is a great tool to help everyone be more productive, but it needs the engineer to guide it, and I think roles are evolving due to it on a lot of places. And a big attitude right now. Tell me if you agree or disagree. It's embrace AI or get out. I mean, you'll be left behind.
No, I definitely agree. I think maybe Meta and all those groups will probably let go of people just because they hire a bunch of people that they don't need just to pull them out of the hiring pool. So they probably don't need those. But yeah, definitely feel like I think going forward, AI can probably help not have to hire as many engineers, but you still need those people who have the expertise and understanding and filling out that generative prompts and everything like that. How do you know when you get there? If you just ask it something, how do you know it's good? Somebody's
Right.
going to be that expert. Somebody has to know if it's good enough. And I think that's where engineering's not going.
So if you're a newer engineer fresh out of college, what advice do you have for them to be successful in this space?
Yeah, network. I mean, one of the hard parts right now is what I don't like about hiring right now is I'm getting so many generated AI resumes. It's just overwhelming. So to the new people, get out there and network. Don't be afraid to use AI. Get to know it. Start to create things. Start to demonstrate as much as you can for that interview or whatever, what you can and cannot do. Be honest. That's been so hard to get people in here that can talk the talk and they're using that, but it doesn't take long for you to realize that you don't know what you don't know. That's one thing in software. It doesn't take long for people. And again, like I said, people like people who they work with. You want to work somebody who's smart. But for the younger people, understand the different AI tools out, understand their purposes, understand how they work for you, play with it so you can have conversations about it. And then if you really like one when you're interviewing, you can say, "Hey, do you use this?" Or maybe you offer this, or I've saved time or efficiency by using this type of tool. So I think those are some ways to kind of get a little bit of an edge.
Awesome. So, Steve, what's one brutal lesson you wish you would have learned earlier in your career?
But man, this is the one I tell everybody. The best way not to get frustrated, I think, in software is to align yourself with the mission of the company and the business. I remember when I first started, I'm like, I'm only going to stick with Java. Then I had to do like C# and I'm only going to stick with this project and that change. And I'm only going to stick with this team and that's going to change. And I think I was always getting frustrated. Or I'm only going to go with this technology. We're only use this framework and frameworks go away. I think if you only align yourself to what the business objective is and work hard towards that, it will allow you to have a change. And I think that will allow less frustration and more just, hey, cool, that's where we're going. Let's do it. What problems do you need me to solve?
Awesome. Well, Steve, thank you so much for getting Uncensored with us today. Love your take from the organizational psychology perspective and what software engineers truly care about. That's fantastic. Before we wrap, any final no BS advice you'd like to give tech leaders out there who are trying to build, scale, or just survive?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, no BS. I think tech is not just making great product. It's mentoring and building up people along with it. It's a both. It's not just one.
Great point. Thank you so much, Steve. That's it for this episode of Software Leaders Uncensored. I'm Steve Taplin. If you liked the show, go ahead and hit subscribe. If you didn't like it, well, kiss my butt. Go tell your competitors about it. They could probably use the help. Remember to fail hard, win big, and always build what matters. See you next time.
Thanks, Steve.
That's a wrap. Another great episode of Software Leaders Uncensored. Thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun doing this show. I love talking with great tech leaders. As a side note, if you're interested, check out my new book, Fail Hard, Win Big. This is the story of how I built 30 companies, failed on 20,
and turned 10 into multi-million-dollar wins. The common thread with all of them was custom software. Also, if you need software development help out there, my company, Sonatify Technology, we deliver world-class software development engineers out of Latin America. We have a solid track record of helping companies launch better products and faster. Thanks again for listening. Appreciate it and appreciate you.